Welcome to the Aquatics Life, the aquatic spotlight of the daily Parks and Rec show. From swimming and water safety to aquatic fitness and recreation, we explore the people, programs, and ideas making waves in communities everywhere. Hosted by Wesley King, every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is the Aquatics Life, where recreation meets the water. In this episode, Wesley King shares his journey in aquatics while exploring leadership, water safety, aquatic recreation, and innovative strategies that help create safer facilities, stronger teams, and healthier communities. All right, welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, special edition, last minute edition. I don't know if y'all know any Parks and Rec directors that get called into last minute meetings by their mayor or city manager, but it happens. And so I reached out to Wesley and I was like, hey, you want to come on the show? I've got a spot. And so he happened to be at home, I think, swimming, floating.
Waiting for the kids to get out of school so we can all go do that together. Yes.
That's it. But yeah, so I wanted to go back into the story of kind of Wesley. And now that I feel like I know him so much better, I know we did a show together, but I'm like, man, I didn't know who he was back then. And now we've been working together. It's crazy how close you get to people when you're doing something together, challenging, that kind of stuff. And so being a show host, creating content for the Parks and Rec industry, it's so new and we're all just figuring it out as a group of hosts, trying to just get better and deliver value better. And, so we're always chatting it up in the host chat and get to share all these new ideas. So yeah, I'm glad we get to actually do a show together just on Wesley.
The first time it was me figuring out how to be live on camera and not looking like an idiot even more than I do now. So this is kind of fun to be a little paced and go backwards before we go forwards a little bit. So I'm excited. So thank you.
Yeah, it's not near as scary after you get a few under your belt.
Right. And the guest has helped. So credit to you for reminding me to put a third person in the game, which takes a lot of pressure off. So
yeah, you're not having to do 100% of the conversation. Yeah, when I first started the show, it was just me talking at the camera. And sometimes it was like 15 minutes long. Like, what am I going to talk about in Parks and Rec? Now I could literally talk about Parks and Rec for 8 hours straight.
Right.
All right. So, Carlo, why don't you bring up the image that Aaron Locks created for the whole team? Aaron Locks is the super talented host of the Youth Sports Mastery Show. So doesn't this look like a media network with all their show times?
I was ready to have my TV guide from 1988 come out and put this on the front cover.
That's it. This is the Daily Parks and Rec Network TV guide, so you can see all the different shows coming up. And
you don't have to wait for the scroll. Remember on the TV, you had to wait for it to scroll through. You don't have to wait anymore. It's all right in front of you in one shot.
That's it. So you can kind of see at the top, at the very top, we've got all the 12 noon shows, and so that's 4 leadership series, and then Papa J closing out the week at the noontime slot. And then we have our newest edition, another show in technology, adding to Dave's 1:30 time slot on the first and second and fourth. And then on the first Mondays of the month, we have the Parks and Tech Collective, sponsored by Amelia. So 2 great technology companies, Amelia and Outdoor Link. One's on the hardware side, one's on the software side. And so maybe we should start calling it Technology Monday.
Tech Day. Way to start the week.
Tech Day Monday. Now we just need a robotics company to come finish out the 3 o'clock time slot.
They're there.
That's it. All right. So then that brings us to Tuesday at the 1:30. We have On the Front Line. By the way, John, I have you a show guest that Jovi should be connecting you with. Somebody out of Tennessee was in the Army for 10 years and loves MWR and was telling me all about it. I'm like, you need to get on John's show. So that was really cool. And we actually have an announcement today. So yesterday we picked up a 3 p.m. Tuesday show on the first and third Tuesdays of the month. And so that's Joy. She owns Place Studio, but she's a master at team building, community engagement, and helping communities get sponsors for their projects that they're trying to get funded, parks or playgrounds, stuff like that. And so she's been a master at that. And she studies the science of play and how play can actually destroy boundaries that, when you're playing ball, you're okay with kind of messing up. So it kind of defangs the judgment and trying and missing
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes comes along with a lot of those conversations around what's the next park
That's
look like.
that's missing in aquatics, by the way, is the play activity. We're either swimming laps or the lane line, but there's studies that show by just putting lane lines in the pool, you
Mhm.
restrict the mental capacity of how that pool is used because you're already dictating the way it should be used by telling people you have to swim, which is not necessarily play. So
Yeah.
very aligned in that strategy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And she has a great little consulting company. And so now she's a sponsor. So she's helping to fund Carlo and all the team and all the software. And we're actually building a media company here. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Thomas White on Wednesdays talking about mental health in Parks and Rec. I think mental health has just become a really, maybe it's just me, but all my social media feeds I'll get all these scientists talking about all the latest discoveries of mental health and childhood whatevers and how we kind of work with them as parents. And so I guess if you're building community, having a mental health understanding of your team and your community is an important part of how you run these facilities and programming and stuff.
Don't get me started on lifeguards and the need for mental health and psychological first aid during emergency situations.
Mhm.
So yes, it's something that when I was coming up, we didn't talk about, and it is needed, and it's accurate to be doing.
Yeah, and I think Wesley, on your show, we've talked a lot of times about kind of scanning the people around the pool and identifying those that may just think differently than you thinking as a aquatics professional. And so on being aware of everybody's kind of mental framework is important.
Yep, absolutely.
So we have a whole show dedicated to that first Tuesday of every month, which is today. Oh, wait, today's Wednesday.
It is all day.
Oh, wait. Yeah. So his show is today.
All right.
Right after this show. And then next Tuesday, we have the Rec Room, also with Henry County, Georgia, where we talk about any topic they want to talk about. So they just go pick a common obstacle or event that happens almost in every Parks and Rec department in America, and they just kind of peel it apart and have all the stakeholders there, go really into the detail. So if you ever wanted to see how, pull the curtain back and feel like you're part of the team and maybe hear some of the conversations that you might be having at your Parks and Rec department, Henry County, Georgia kind of opens their door and shows everybody how they do such a great job. And then this is our first 3 p.m. show scheduled. Is that today also? Yes. Yeah. So
arts. Yeah.
Today's the first day for Arts and Parks and Rec. Shoot, I got to make sure.
The new show.
Yeah. So Beatrice comes on with her. Oh, she's got a phenomenal guest today. She's got a guest that is an award-winning film producer, has produced full-length feature films, has been in arts, and I mean, she's got an amazing network. So that's going to be a really cool show. I was reading her bio. I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady's like famous. So that's going to be a great show. And they're going to keep it kind of on the topic of Parks and Rec, arts and Parks and Rec. All right, so then our favorite guy, Aaron Locks, he is just a machine. We're all trying to catch up with Aaron. He does a great job. Such a good show host personality. I love just watching his show. That's all on U Sports, Rec Sports, all inclusive sports done at the Park and Rec level. He has coaches, athletic directors, sports officials, you name it. He's got an amazing network, and so he's even threatening to do another show in the week, so twice a week. So
he could.
He definitely could. He's got enough show guests. Then we got a Young Professionals Network at 5 p.m. Young professionals are studying to be a Parks and Rec professional, or first 1 to 5 years, or if you're a professor teaching them, or if you have a great internship program, that's your show. And then to close out the week, we have the legendary Wesley King that talks all things aquatics with the Aquatics Life show every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's our lineup.
It's getting there. Just when I started 12 weeks ago for the listening audience, because this is evergreen, this docket was not full like this just 12 weeks ago. And before my existence, it wasn't that full. So again, so many experts, so much great content for anybody working in any of your properties for sure.
Oh, love it. Yeah, there's definitely something. And that's what we're trying to do, is try to create something for every Parks and Rec professional. So we still want to add something for the seniors. I talked to a guy yesterday that might be interested in talking about golf courses and just running golf courses in Parks and Rec.
Some
We could do it.
zebras. We've talked about some potential zebra fishing, some
Oh
sports,
yeah,
maybe, possibly, maybe.
that's right. Me and Wesley had a great conversation with doing a weekly show for sports officials. That's a big one. We should definitely do a coaching channel.
That's another one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe Aaron could do that instead of doing U Sports Mastery twice. He could just launch a coaching channel.
Well, with his Rolodex of famous people he's got, it wouldn't take much to get Jerry Rice and his awesome people to name
Yeah.
drop there, because it's very impressive.
Yeah, we could call it the Coach's Corner, something like that. The Coach's Corner in Parks and Rec.
This is getting too good, Craig.
There you go, Aaron. We're throwing it out there. You need to start a second show called the Coach's Corner. Get all these coaches. He's had a lot of coaches. All right, so let's go ahead and play our transition. Carlo, why don't you go ahead and play the Parks and Tech commercial? Oh no, let's play the Aquatic Life commercial since we got Wesley on there, and then we'll play Parks and Tech in the middle. Hit it.
It's not just water. It's responsibility. It's leadership. It's not just drowning prevention or water safety. It's life. And every day, aquatics professionals make decisions that save lives. Because aquatics is more than swim lessons. It's community. It's creativity. It's impact. For over 30 years, aquatics hasn't just been my profession. It's been my life. I've seen the challenges, the pressure, the grind, but I've also seen the power of great leadership and what happens when communities come together. This is where education meets entertainment, where real conversations happen, where aquatics professionals come together to learn, lead, and grow. Because aquatics should bring people together. This is Aquatics Life, streaming on DPRS Media Network.
I like how yours kind of closes at the end, streaming on DPR's Media Network. I feel like it's official at that point.
There are a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit for it, and none of them are me, and including my mother taking those pictures some 40 years ago. So
yeah,
I always get embarrassed by seeing it, but it does also help remind me of what we're doing and why 31 years later I'm still doing this. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to break up the show into two parts. We want to know who is Ignacio. Little Nacho Libre reference. And then on the back end, I want to learn more about your consulting firm, when you started it, what you do. What are the services and products you really get excited about delivering to people you work with and aquatic centers you work with. But let's all start off with the man. Who is Wesley King? Let's start there.
Well, ironically, you hit it up. You made a movie reference, and while Nacho Libre is not my number one, that's who I am. I take all of my life experiences from pop culture to being a Cubs fan to Central Illinois, and really try to bring it towards the business. I was a guy that was raised in a pool as an older brother, in-ground pool. In Central Illinois, where not a lot of people had in-ground pools. We didn't go on family vacations a lot. We went on 2 of them. And one of them was to 12 major league ballparks and the Hall of Fame when I was 16.
Wow.
So not most people's ideal vacation, but when you're raised in a house of a dad who's a national sports official and a mom who's a 30-year nurse, like that's what we came up with. So, but that's why I was raised at an in-ground pool. We didn't go to swim lessons. I'll just say this out loud. There was no better babysitting gig in the neighborhood than coming over to my house. My parents' job rule was my kids better not end up in the hospital. My brother's 18 months younger than I am. So two boys, don't end up in the hospital, don't end up in jail, and don't let them die.
That's a pretty low bar.
Every young male or female, is scantily clad or not, lined up at our front door to babysit our house. And my dad just lined him up. The point is, that's the environment. You talked about play early in aquatics. I was raised in the play aquatics environment. I was raised where everybody comes to our house on Sunday nights. If you think of Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi's backyard, that was our backyard. Basketball court, in-ground pool. But that's where we spend our money. A lot of people do Disneyland, and I love it. But growing up, I didn't really get that was our family. And then you combined it with sports, minor league baseball, the Peoria Chiefs, the Chicago Cubs, more play. I then, the largest water park in central Illinois called Splashdown Water Park, Park District, first job, right? On the ball fields, opened up 1,000 to 1,200 people a day. The largest water park within 100 to 120 miles of Peoria, Illinois, which includes the capital of Springfield, Champaign. This is the mid-90s now, right? I'm 16. I'm kind of a swimmer. Everybody knows that's what you go to Wes's family's house for the pool. Craig, that was my first job. Out of indoor, I mean, I had indoor IMCAs and indoor high schools, but seasonally year-round, like, summer, that was it.
How old were you? This is high school days?
16, 15. Yeah, I got lifeguard certified in the winter, Christmas Eve, 1995.
Wow.
There's listening audience here that has to do math when the words 1-9 start. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I got in an ice cold pool in the high school pool my dad went to how many years, 30 years prior. Okay. So I'm old, I'm decrepit, I'm grizzled, I'm get off my lawn. But back then I was young and hungry, and look at this new water park. You ask who was Wes King? Wes King is the guy that had to learn not to be the king of documentation, had to learn not to force the line, had to learn that when an auditor or an expert came in, you don't know everything. And had to learn very quickly that I might have this certification and I might be in charge of this thing. And it's a lesson a lot of aquatics people have had to learn, which is it don't matter. The boss might not care. The senior boss might not care. And so those were some of the grinds that I went through in my early days. Brand new water park, being in charge, head honcho. You want everything to be perfect. And then somebody smarter, better, more experience comes in with more perspective and says, hey, this is great, but maybe don't be such a jackass. Hey, maybe find a better way. And so I really went through that, in my high school years, in my college years, where I would argue in another environment, maybe another Parks and Rec industry, or maybe another job, you're not going to get grinded like that. You're not going to have people coming from every angles really correcting you, really forcing you to be different, really telling you you don't know everything. Just because no one died doesn't mean you had a great day.
Right.
And so, but those are my formative years. I went to college, Western Illinois, long story long, as I like to say. I was 12 credit hours away from having 3 degrees, 3 bachelor's degrees.
You were the stay in school poster child then?
Well, here's what's funny. I only went for 4 years, but by my sophomore year, all I did was take marketing classes, communication classes, and sociology classes. I paid my own way because I did a high school and college officiating. I did some stand-up comedy because I thought I was funny. I wasn't that funny. And I just took the same classes over and over, all the same stuff. So I get to my senior year. I get to the winter of senior year, and my guidance counselor goes, Wes, if you took like 24 credit hours and it was theory level and you wrote a bunch of papers, you would walk out in 4 years with 3 specific unique degrees, bachelor's degrees, communications, marketing, and sociology. Craig, 27 years later, I still laugh at that person going, you're out of your mind. I graduate in 4 months and you want me to dedicate my life to whatever, so I don't have 3 degrees. But my whole point is that's what I want to do. I want to understand people. I want to talk to people. I want to gather people around. I didn't know it at the time. Yeah. My last statement I'll say about the college years were My grandfather died when I was a sophomore in college on Mother's Day. Point being, I got a tattoo for a fallen soldier, a great fallen warrior on my back. When I was in college, I had a tank top on my back and turned to the tattoo artist and said, I want that tattoo inside the clothing line of the tank top so that if I'm 60 or 70 years old and I'm working in aquatics, I can still work professionally because I'll have to have a shirt on. And I need
Yeah.
this tattoo covered up by my shirt. Craig, I was 20 years old. And I still remember putting the tattoo or putting the tank top on my back and having the artist line up so it would fit inside the cloth of the tank top. So now 50 years later, I could be a professional and no one would see the tattoo.
That's it. Well, in
That
New
was
Orleans, I
30
think
years
to be
ago.
a professional in New Orleans, you have to have a tattoo showing.
Fair. And I do have a second tattoo. And it, you know, the phrase lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo of a flashbolt of lightning inside of a wine bottle on my back. So I can always believe that you can capture lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. What's that? Those two black comedians, Peel and something. They have that lightning.
Key and
in the
Peele.
bottle.
Key and Peele. Yeah. Mine was before that. But yeah. So anyway, so that was my formative years, right? Communication, demanding of aquatics, trying to keep people alive, but then trying to tell everybody I was better than them. Then people telling me we actually know better, and really grinding out administration, organization, safety drills to say we're safe. And
Yeah.
so that really brought me into the Red Cross, YMCAs, JCCs, and continued my career to, at one point, I was in charge of the largest year-round water park in the continental United States in Wisconsin.
What? No way.
Yeah.
What was the name of it? Are you still going?
I know I still go as a guest,
Right.
which is much different than working, but the Wilderness Resort in Wisconsin Dells, they had a tragic incident in 2007 or 8, and I got brought on, and I spent 18 months there, almost 2 years actually, building an audit safety program, an internal audit program that the staff goes through because they're rotational staff around the country, around the world actually, where they're evaluated on everything, customer service, safety, etc. And they can only immediately fail 2 ways. If you say, I don't know, or I don't speak English, automatic fails. If you say anything else, you have a chance to pass. Now, you could still fail because you didn't get it right. But the culture was a challenge as well because it's international students. And so really starting with how we communicate first to then proving we can be safe. Because if we're questioning how you're communicating with us, no one's going to believe you in a rescue. If you don't have a long voice, if you don't have a solid whistle, if you don't have a commanding presence, you're probably going to fumble in the emergency or people are going to question what you're doing. So again, almost 20 years ago, I was working on these philosophies of training lifeguards to start with our communication, our body language, our posture, our voice, and then immediately be able to go into the rescue. Yeah. And I'll sum that up. I'm proud to say that almost 12 to 13 years later, they were still using that 20-page paper packet for auditing and review.
Oh, nice. Now,
yeah. So
this water park, it had, I imagine, like the big slides, like tons of those.
It was 7 water parks, 8 to 10,000 guests per weekend.
What?
265 paid aquatic staff in a 12-hour period. So that's about 190 lifeguards and 40 slide attendants. And I had a golf cart that I would zip around, all the managers did, to all the properties. And my fiance, my wife now, but my fiance at the time, was in charge of another one of the properties. And there were hotel rooms too. So people could pass out drunk in a hotel room. They could burn themselves cooking pizza, pass out at the top of the towers, lazy rivers, all the gamut. But my and the other manager's job was to oversee the supervisors, who oversaw the head guards, who oversaw the lifeguards. But yeah, I did that for years.
Did y'all have those big wave pools?
We did, the wave pool.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where I came up with my hand signals, where I could be at the far end of a wave pool. The waves are calm. I have 8 guards going. And this is a takeaway for anybody who has a large property. Instead of trying to communicate with all of them individually, you get one message and you point it to the person doing the best. Mine, Craig, are you ready? Was this. It was W-T, word to your mother. W-T, your mother. And I could do that because I trained all the lifeguards. And so I had a relationship with them. And when I went word to your mother, that meant you were doing really good, and we should tell your mom how good you are. And if you didn't
nice.
get that hand signal, then you look around and go, what's wrong with me? Are my legs not down? Is my tube not strapped? Why didn't Wes give me that cool word to your mother hand signal? Wes doesn't have an hour to go and babysit every lifeguard. And you as aquatic directors or leaders in your properties, or even if you're not in aquatics. So the other thing I did was the opposite. This was back when Taylor Swift was just coming up. She had a song called Shake It Off.
I love it.
If you saw Wes King's foot shake, no matter what you were doing, that was your symbol to go, oh, I better fix something. He saw me and he didn't like how I was scanning, or maybe he didn't like how I was leading the front desk. Again, it doesn't matter what your team is doing. What matters is, can you quickly and efficiently tell them that you see something? They then can register, go, okay, I got to fix it. What is it? Where is he at? What is it?
Yeah.
But do it in a way that no one else can see it. All I'm doing is shaking my foot, Craig, but I got 8 lifeguards looking for me going, wait, is that shake for me? Is that for me? No, it's not. So word to your mother was, you're doing great. That's your wave pool. And shake it off is, hey, man, button up, tighten it up. Get something right. Figure it out. But that's how we did the wave pool, because it's so interactive. It's so high volume. It's so treacherous, right? They're so risky. If I'm distracting you with a 20-minute diatribe like I just did now, or you're looking at me, now you're thinking about Wes. No, it need to be quick, immediate, responsive feedback. And so that's how we handle the wave pool.
I love it. How did you manage those big slides? Are they any different? The ones are like, I remember we went to Water World often in Houston, I think it was.
Houston.
And they had this thing called the Edge, where it's one of these really tall, really fast slides, and you just go flying down there. Do you manage those any differently, like the slides and stuff?
Yes. So here's the fun part. You as the employee really should live the experience with these slides. From what's it like with 4 small, tiny, I'll say female or male, get on the tube and it gets stuck because they're too tiny. What's it like when you're on your friend with your 3 biggest friends? Because that's the experience that an 8-year-old has with their 3 aunts and uncles. Yeah. So the first step in answer to your question is, get your staff to experience what the writers will experience in practice, in service, in play, in just for fun, because you never know what it's like to be stuck in that tube because you don't have enough weight on it. We can tell you on the radio, Craig, to your point, how we train and push them through and run the water and do the drills. But unless you're stuck in that tube and you know it's because it's too light, not enough weight, you can't talk on the radio like that. Hey, give us a minute. We understand it's for a human, right? On the opposite end, can you imagine having to have a customer service conversation with 4 larger human beings and it flips over and the one child is now in a recovery position because the weight wasn't positioned right? And now you are charged with telling those humans, great people, hey, we're going to have to position you differently next time. Or maybe next time can I only have 2 people. I contest the way to do that is to put the staff through it in a fun, playful, non-aggressive environment. Then do your safety drills. Then do your emergency drills. But when I was coming up, it was just go man it. It was go sit in the spot. And I think part of the culture shift has been we want our employees to experience it so they can talk about it. But those big rides, my 2 children got stuck this spring at one of the parks. They got them out quickly, but my son and daughter hopped in. They were tall enough. They got to go by themselves. They met the weight requirement. No one checked what it's like with 2 skinny 6 and 9-year-old get up there and get stuck. And guess what, Craig? It was the first ride of the day.
Oh, nice.
Because like you, it was the most advertised ride and it was indoors and we got there early and there was no line and my kids were dry. They got wet from the waterfalls. But it was the first thing we did. And I'm huffing and puffing, 5 stories up, out of breath. I'll get to the next one. My wife is like, 8 seconds later, we hear echoey screams.
And that's your kids down there.
That's my kids stuck in the tube. And there I watch a supervisor, a head guard, a front lifeguard, a new lifeguard going, well, we'll just push them through. I said, with what? We're the only people up here. We're the first people in line. Yeah. Now, 15 seconds later is fine. But to your point, that's where the training comes in.
Yeah. Now, what did y'all do? Asking for a friend for those kids that they purposely get stuck, so then the next kid can pile, the next kid, and they're trying to see how many people they can pile before it all gets pushed through.
Yeah, the train. Yeah, and you say purposely. So later in my career, I got really into medical fitness. I do a lot of work with medical fitness. I do a lot of work with education, and that's where the observation comes in. I would contest, Craig, that that's a preventable situation, because if we're paying attention and we're observing our environment, we are going to overtly predict that behavior.
There you go.
Could we get charged with stereotyping? Yes, but as I tell my children, it's not a stereotype if it's true.
Yeah.
Will we get in trouble every once in a while for saying we overjudge? Probably. But if I see 8 rambunctious 12-year-olds that are already pushing and loud, if I can hear you before you get on the steps, I'm at the steps.
Yeah.
It could be girls too. But that's a thing I don't think we talk about enough in leadership, let alone aquatics, is what are your eyes telling you? Craig, in one of our episodes, real quick, we talked a few weeks back about, in aquatics, they say if you see clothes in the water, your brain tells you it's a doll because your brain doesn't want to think it's your child, right? And there's real studies. Well, this is no different in Parks and Rec. If I hear a bunch of obnoxious behavior, I have to take action. Equally, if I see a bunch of kids behaving well, I should compliment it and reward it. So it goes both ways. And I think that's something we're getting better at. But for a long time, I think we were very shy about, because we didn't want to get in trouble for pushing the envelope or saying too much or, whatever. But here's your movie reference, Craig. We've seen Minority Report with Tom Cruise. There's some use to predictive behavior. There's some value in seeing what's in front of you, understanding the expected consequences, and saying, hey, guys, before you make a train in this slide, or gals, the next person that does it's in trouble. Or when you do it, we have to shut the slide down, and your parents are going to have to leave or get called because an adult has to come over every time we have to shut a ride down.
Yeah.
Use the consequences. So that's the last part. Yeah. Strike the fear of consequence into the behavior. It could be in a drunk adult at a basketball game. I've had that where a fan was there. Strike the consequences. Use the outcome as your preventative measure. But it happens. You see them coming. They come up the stairs. They get stuck in the tube and they laugh. And what's going to happen is I got to stop the water. Anyway, but it is true. So predictive behavior, using your observations, and don't be shy about cracking the code and kind of getting ahead of it.
Not that we're running out of content for the Aquatics Life show, but we should probably do a show on the water park, because I noticed a lot of the park and rec departments are going beyond the swimming pool, beyond the splash pad, to where now they've got like legit, not full on theme rides, but getting closer and closer.
And so I know we'll go to commercial break, but I call that COEP, COEP, Community Outreach Event Planning. That water park that you're describing, that countless park districts in the suburbs of Chicago too are building that model, because it's no longer about swim lessons and lifeguarding. It's about community outreach event planning, birthday parties, swim teams, combination of services, fire departments, resources, teachers, everything, so that this becomes an entity of services and we can reach a population. Now, the problem with that, Craig, and this is a sentiment to everybody listening, is what happens if the person in charge leaves? Is your COEP, your community outreach event planning, sustainable beyond the human, sustainable beyond the person putting in place? And I think that's where a lot of people have challenges with aquatics, is we had a great aquatic director and they left, but we have this beautiful, awesome, I call it a snow globe to somebody I was working the other day, non-changeable, right? I can shake the snow globe as much as I want, but that water park's not changing, and that great entity isn't changing. And so that transition, or that bridge from the community outreach event planning, from the entity itself to the humans in charge of it, I think we could tighten it up sometimes. But that's why they do it, Craig, is to impact that community at a higher level.
Yeah. So essentially what you're asking is, how does your ship run without its captain? If the captain
hit by the bus. My book, I wrote a 300-page book on aquatics. God bless Vanessa Racino, Vanessa Gabor. She was my right hand, and it was called Hit by the Bus. And it was there because I ran a medically based fitness center in Chicago, Aquatics Life Center. We won a bunch of awards. It was awesome. We quadrupled the revenue, blah, blah, blah. But what we got down to is if Wes left, which he was desperately trying to do, and if his right hand left, which she was trying to, where are we?
Yeah.
What do we got? So to your right, if the man in the arena or woman in the arena is out of the arena, what's standing?
Yeah.
And you could argue that's why the water park I started is now a flat piece of grass. And because they didn't have a preventative maintenance plan. They didn't have the stuff in place. But yeah, so that's the lesson learned, is make sure it matches.
Yeah. And I think so the opportunity, I would think, is when you have a good captain and they're doing a great job, part of what they do is to leave behind
legacy,
SOPs, workflows, frameworks, plans. And so that the transition, that wisdom isn't lost when they leave. They can be handed off to the next person.
Look at me being a bad guest because I'm cutting off. And may I just say, it's not just leave it behind, but leave it behind in a digestible, understandable way. One of Wes King's biggest flaws was what he would leave behind, which I could contend was always better, was Wes King's thing or his team's thing. But could Craig walk in and go, I get it? Maybe, maybe not. And that's a lesson I had to learn very over time and very impactfully is, man, you're doing great work and that's great to hear. And I love the compliments. But if you left, could somebody else repeat this? Could somebody else carry it forward? And so you're right, Craig. They've got to leave it, but leave it in a way that's evergreen. Leave it in a way that's personal to you, but professional to somebody else.
Yeah.
Your notes can be all over it, but can they read your notes?
Yeah.
And that's a lesson I've learned, and a lesson I don't think we always take into consideration because we're so busy doing our own thing. Because again, we're the black sheep, red-headed stepchild. Yeah. So it's a great perspective.
Yeah. And I would say just work on your bench, work on having, 4 or 5 people that when you leave, any one of them has practice being in charge for that day. So you could even say, all right, second in command, you're running the park this day. I'm going to do your job. And then third in command, same thing. And so now everybody's got a taste of what it's like to stand in your shoes.
There's a reason that there are first base coaches and third base coaches, and it's not to look pretty. There's a reason I have the phrase called horses in the stable. And that is different than the bench. Horses in the stable are your 40-hour guards, your non-completers, your workhorses. That's the people that what you're talking about, Craig, are the people you're going to grow, your minor league team, right? Tom Holland, when he was on his first Spider-Man, not his fourth Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Can you find the rock stars? I actually have a program called It's the Aquatic Hero. Hiring, engaging, recruiting, and onboarding. Your aquatic hero. And it teaches people how to create the hero. And one of the things we do is called talent finding. Who are your talent finders? Might not be your hero. Your talent finders might just be the person that sits at the front desk that just sees people every day and tells you, do you know Susie's so nice to me? And you're like, well, I only see Susie. Talent finders come from everywhere. So part of the Aquatic Hero program is having specific people in your team, like the bench, like your horses. But that's it, Craig, is building that team, your heroes, your finders, your bench, your horses, all the analogies, your movie stars, so that when you leave, they're all in place. They all have a defined role. And maybe they're even excited for you to go. I know they were when I left some places. Right? But it doesn't matter. If you leave a place great, they're going to call you every day. And that has happened to me. And I didn't figure out why. That was very complimentary. Why used to call me, Wes, nobody can read your writing. Nobody can do it. It's a great thing you did, Wes, but we can't do anything with it. And I realized that my value was not as impactful because I left nothing. So absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And really part of the compensation package outside of just dollars on a check is your team becoming more valuable in the market. So obviously somebody that can do the captain's job efficiently is now more valuable. And so they're looking at 2 forms of compensation. Not only am I getting paid, but I'm becoming more valuable because of this team that I'm on that actually trains me up. And eventually my salary will meet my value that I bring to the market.
That's one thing I hope aquatics people of this decade or this generation, look how old I am, start to support is it's not a competition. If you can prove your worth or your team's worth in a pool, you can prove it anywhere, right? Craig, pools aren't supposed to make money. Pools are a death pit. Pools should be pickleball courts. Pools are the executive's nightmare.
Yeah.
But guess what, Craig? If your pool person, your aquatic director, your aquatic manager, etc., your recreation supervisor, whatever, can prove all the things you just said, my team can grow. I can have my place be taken. Guess what? You can grow out of aquatics if, God forbid, you want to, or now you have a challenge to grow out of your department or to argue for more money because you're not proving what you're doing to yourself. Right. Stop defending your pool. Stop defending your swim lessons. I told that to a client the other day. You're an amazing swim instructor. Stop defending what you do in the water.
Yeah.
Prove what you do on land. In aquatics, we get very defensive. Bull in a china shop. We need an AED. People are going to drown. The old person thinks the water's cold. Blah, blah, blah. No boss wants to hear that, Craig. No check writer wants to hear it.
Right.
They want to hear how you've made it better. They want to hear how people have stopped complaining. And so I would contest that our challenge in aquatics and recreation is to stop trying to prove what we do well and showcase what we're going to do better and showcase how we've gotten better financially. What is your immediate 10% improvement plan? Staffing wise, what is the way you're going to never run out of staff in 3 months? Like those are things that are going to get you your salary higher. Those are things that are going to get you promoted, not begging. And again, I've done it, but not begging for another AED because the state says you need it.
Yeah.
It's not easy, Craig. It's not easy, but that's how it's done.
All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break to thank, actually, we're going to promote our latest edition. So let's see, Monday, we had the Parks and Tech Collective show. Great job, Ali, on his first show. Had an awesome guest. I mean, she was a ringer, so there was no way to have a bad show with her. Jen is just amazing. And she's a accomplished speaker on Parks and Rec. So she speaks at a lot of conferences and stuff. And she's also a director in someplace, Texas. Can't remember.
Well, if it's Houston, we know who we're calling.
Yeah. Yeah. But she does a great job and she's big on technology. So it was really good to have her on a technology show because she's very knowledgeable around it. So let's go ahead and play that one to promote that. And then go ahead and big shout out to Jordan Ziff for getting her first sponsor for her show and her channel and her company. That's a big win for her. Play those two and we'll come right back and talk about Wesley's consulting company.
Technology isn't just changing devices, it's changing communities. It's changing how we connect, how we lead, and how we create experiences that bring people together. Because today's parks and recreation industry isn't only about fields, facilities, and programs. It's about innovation, smart systems, digital experiences, and the people transforming ideas into impact. Behind every thriving community, there are leaders embracing change. As technology evolves, parks and recreation professionals are discovering new ways to create safer spaces, stronger connections, and better experiences for everyone. This is where conversations meet innovation, where ideas become action, where parks and technology come together. Welcome to Parks and Tech Collective, streaming on DPRS Media Network.
This episode is brought to you by SDSU's Sports MBA program. If you're passionate about sports and want to work in the women's sports industry, then this is the time to pay attention. SDSU's program is 12 months accelerated hands-on learning where students have actually gotten to work with teams like the San Diego Mojo, partnered with the Farmers Insurance Open, and visited headquarters like the Upper Deck or Callaway Golf. It's built for people who want to be in rooms like that. So if you're interested, deadlines are approaching. Learn more or apply with the links in the description.
Man, every time I watch Jordan and John, they're so like buttoned up and professional and just like they look.
Could I be more jealous? Like it's this is everything I want to be. Okay, I go, but how? How is that? I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to. They're making us. That's what's good about being on a team is if any one person on the team does something well, you know, we're all excited for them, and then we're like, oh shoot, what am I doing here? I'm like, slacking.
You got to find the strength. What's you are the weakest link. As long as I'm not it, we're okay.
Right. I don't want to be the weak link. And there's so many, different ways that you can do a great job on a show. It's just, I mean, it's like an open canvas. You just get to basically paint a piece of artwork for an hour. And then, and so we've got all these artists, these content creators, all painting masterpieces, and you're just trying not to let them down.
Yes.
But yeah. All right.
Thanks
so
for speaking to my soul, Craig.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this. So when did you get the idea to start a consulting company? What has that been like? And then what are the products and services that you offer?
Yeah. Humbly, I can say it wasn't my idea. I'm very fortunate that there were several properties in the city of Chicago, from Lake Point Tower to the Peninsula Hotel to small independent HOAs that got to know me over the years. I spent 5 years in the city, the suburbs, and just kind of putting my name out there and networking and speaking. I did a lot of speaking for medical fitness, athletic business, club industry, etc. And so I just personality wise. And so point is people ask me, Wes, would you come talk to us? Would you come help us with our chemicals, etc.? And then it started to turn into something meaningful. And I said, all right, well, I have a full-time job. I have a family starting. How can I dabble in this? And when I started to dabble in it and get my LLC and really identified that, yeah, there's some big players and there's some awesome people, Sean DeRosa, Dr. Griffiths, Dewey Case, but they're national. And when I looked local, it was businesses. It was supply companies. There's the American Red Cross, or it was companies that staff or certify. Well, Craig, I've certified over 3,000 lifeguards, and my decrepit and dysfunctional body is living proof of that. I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I really started to think probably 8 or 9 years ago, formally sat down and said, what can I provide? What can I do? And it came down to, on a high level, 2 things: make you safer and make you money.
Yeah.
So really some essential components. I have a thing called the triple I: incident, illnesses, injuries. We identify how you're documenting, tracking, and preparing and preventing it. Your incidents, illnesses, and injuries, your triple I's. And we make sure that you, your pool, your documentation, all of it are covered in some way, right? From your state, your county, your requirements, your inspections, all of it. Once that's established and we have it documented, logged, daily processes, all the things, then we get to what I call PCS: programs, classes, and services. And what I really like to do is help you define them. We've talked for weeks, Craig. We have swim lessons. What are they? We have basketball. What is it? Is it a program? Is it a class? Or is it a service? Services are easy: massage, one-on-ones, etc. But the whole point is I sit down with you, your pool, your property, your person, and we define what's happening in your pool. We only define it once we know we're safe. Okay. And another thing I do, I have a thing called a discovery day. And a lot of that stuff can be done virtually with pictures and emails and things, and daily rates and retainer fees and monthly programs. But really where the bread and butter is and where I make my most impact is what I call a discovery day. Where we'll do a lot of prep work. We'll do emails, we'll do reviews, and I have an 8-list component of risk factors, 8 risk factors. You can go on my website, westkingco.com, and you can watch the entire webinar. You can go on the school app, SKOOL, the free school app, and watch a bunch of workshops. But basically, a daily discovery day is I come with you for 8 hours. I come to your property, you pay my airfare and my hotel, but under $1,000 for the day. And we're going to go through every hour. We're going to go through some part of your business with your team, Craig, just like you talked about. And I'm going to meet your head coach. I'm going to meet your safety supervisor. I'm going to meet your facility director. I will have met them prior. Right. But each hour, we're going to go through exit entry, chemical, documentation, programming, safety, staffing, a set of established 8 components. By the end of the day, my brain will be fried. But each one of your staff members will have gotten an hour, each department an hour with me. You then get back an 8 to 12 page summary report. That summary report is what Chris Kringle did in Macy's in the Miracle on 34th Street. You remember that?
Yeah.
Chris Kringle sat in Macy's, and the customers came in, and they said, and Chris Kringle said, "We don't have it here. Go to the other store." That's what your 12-page report is. These are the things you need to do. If you want to hire Wes King, great. If you don't and you're in Cincinnati, here's 3 local people Wes believes in that can help you. From your chemicals to your product, to your supplies, to your coaching, to your certification. My whole point of that discovery day is for you to discover my perspective of what you need, but also maybe you just don't like me. Maybe you don't want to pay me. Maybe you want all of me. Or maybe there's somebody down the street that Wes King's, and yes, this is braggy, but his 30,000 LinkedIn connections. Yes, I broke LinkedIn. I did it. LinkedIn allows you to have 30,000 connections. I have 30,000 connections. It took me 12 years. But maybe Wes King knows somebody in your town pretty well that might be more affordable, more efficient, that he can coach to help you. Now, hopefully you'll hire me, but that's the point of the discovery day. It's not just what's happening in your building and me assessing your risk factors and your components and meeting with your team, but also putting a formula plan together locally, internally, that you can bring me on, but also your surrounding areas for better chemical supplies, better staffing. And then lastly, I do workshops. So if you didn't want me in the day and you just want virtual or you just need team building, I think one of the things Aquatics is lacking is targeted education. I don't mean certifications. We've got tons of those.
Yeah.
I don't mean internal in-services, and we got tons of. What I'm talking about is sitting a lifeguard or swim instructor or an aquatic professional down and saying, do you even know what industry you're in? Do you have any idea that drowning is the #1 rate of cause of death, blah, blah, blah? Do you know what swimming does for your community? And just teaching the aquatic professional scope of the world they're in. So I have 18 1-hour workshops. How to, the aquatic hero, how to be a championship team in 22 seconds. What is your favorite color? Be like a bonobo. A bonobo is a primate chimp that societally, a bonobo primate builds its community based on food, relationships, and sharing. I do a 45-minute workshop on how to be like a bonobo, Craig. That's weird. That's crazy. Yeah. But how many times in aquatics do you sit down with your swim instructor, your lifeguard, your water aerobics instructor, and your pool operator in the same room and have food with them? And just have communal experiences? How many times does a new employee show up and is toured the whole facility with a treasure hunt gift box, and at the end, when they complete their tour, they get a prize, and that prize is lunch with somebody from another department? Guess what, Craig? A bonobo, when you're a bonobo and you're a free bonobo, a 12-year-old bonobo on your own, and you go to the bonobo family, you know what they do in primate, in the chimpanzee world? They greet you. They break up their food and give you food. What other animal in the world does that? You can't go to another culture, another group. If you're kicked out of the lions, you can't go to another lion or another cheetah, but the bonobos do. So I teach that philosophy to aquatics, not lifeguards, not swim instructors, but the aquatic as a whole. So you know the impact you're having when you're sitting in the lifeguard chair or you're teaching a kid swimming, because it's not just that thing. So those are part of the education workshop seminars I do in the education side, virtually or in person, just to help your team and you provide that content and provide that mental philosophy beyond CPR and beyond emergency drills. But I do all that too.
Now, is there anything specific? Is there anything specific that you teach to parks and recreation aquatic centers that might be a little different than your YMCAs, your private parks, or your, what do they call the big water parks we had talked about earlier?
Yeah, I would say 2 things. One is the understanding, and I said it earlier, about community impact. And I don't mean your budget. I mean staff retention. I mean presence of professionalism, such as at your park and recreation property, the attendee, the parent or the family member probably is more connected to your community than a private or corporate facility. That person doesn't just come to your pool, Craig. They come to your basketball. They come to your dance. They come to their art. They're there year round because they're in your pool traditionally. So what I'm going to teach that park and rec professional is how to understand what happens in January when they're complaining about you from July.
Mm.
But your season's over. You're on vacation. You have no clue that because you didn't open on time, or you had a bad lightning detector day, or because your swim lessons were crap, pardon my French, that consumer now might and could possibly relate that to basketball or volleyball or other seasonal things because of your park district, because they believe that park district should be supplying high quality experiences. But if you mess it up in the summer or in the pool, that to me, I believe, my opinion, has a lot more impact than if you mess up a ballet registration. Because the parent has a different belief in the pool. They're signing up for swim lessons with a much different purpose than they are basketball or baseball. And I love those sports, but it's a different mentality from the adult. And so that's what I teach. The second thing is the execution, the delivery, the process. Whether it's a checklist, whether it's how we meet and greet, it's that you have to be almost infallible. The park district world has a thing called PDERMA, or they have state support. One phone call in PDERMA could be worth $8,000. PDERMA is who you call when bad things happen, Greg. PDERMA is when a lawsuit might happen. PDERMA is when something goes bad. One phone call could be up to $8,000 just to call them and say, hey, I'm being somewhat facetious, so don't sue me, people. But my point is, I want you in Parks and Rec to understand how important every detail is. The devil is in the details. So it's the big picture, but it's also how we check our chemicals, how we meet and greet, how we rotate. Everything is almost a microcosm football play.
Yeah.
And in aquatics, sometimes we get a little lackadaisical with that because we passed our inspection or because we can look good. So the phrase I use is, you told me it was a good day? Yeah, it was a great day. Prove it. And so we go through the exercise of proving what a good day was and even defining what a good day is in park and recreation. And that day has a little more tweaks than other types of properties. So big picture community details step by step for fear or prevention of larger issues. And those are some scales that we'll focus on in Parks and Rec.
All right, so we're coming towards the end of the show. I wanted to give you a chance to say more about the revenue side. So, if we'll make your pool safer, and then we'll help you to be maybe cash flow positive, recover more of the costs. What are some tricks around that?
Two things. As we know, if you're running a fitness center, two things. A facility person should check in almost twice a week. 1.8 times a week gets you retention. 75% of your revenue should come from membership. Well, that means that aquatics and training and everything else is only 25% of your revenue. Here's the key. Step one, proving that aquatics is impacting membership. Your pool schedule, Craig. Here's a free trick. Do you have adult-only time on your pool schedule? We know we're not going to teach kids at 7 a.m. I know that, and you know that. We know we're not going to teach kids at 7 p.m. I know that, and you know that. But does your membership rep know that? Does your pool schedule tell the world that every paying adult owns the pool from 7 to 9 a.m.? No children. And if you don't know it, start knowing it now and put it in your pool schedule, because that's marketing, Craig. That's membership. That's sales. That membership sell from that pool schedule change is worth 5 kids in swim lessons that day.
Wow.
$75 for membership. Let's say it's $75 for membership, right? Each kid only pays $20 per swim lesson. 4 kids taking one swim lesson is $80 for that day.
Yeah.
But one member just paid me $75. One member. Why? Yeah. Because I rearranged my pool schedule to do something I already know. I already know we're not going to put kids in there. So let me now use that as a marketing tool, right? Here's my Oz behind the curtain phrase. I just snuck it in. My epitaph will say Oz behind the curtain, okay? How do you tell members what they're getting? Here's another free trick. Lunchtime. Are you going to teach any child age 4 to 9 during lunch in the pool? No, because they're in school. Are you going to have a massive kids program during lunch? No, because they're in school. Unless you're a park and recreation who can bring the kids over. So what do, Craig? Make lunch adult swim. Make lunch adults only. If you're not going to lose business from it, target where you can gain business. I'll say it again. In the pool, if you're not going to lose business, target where you can gain. And the biggest gain is membership. You thought I was going to talk about swim lessons and programs and aqua Pilates and all the things that Wes can bring to your pool. And he can. But it starts with a good pool schedule that represents value for the member. Sorry if I'm screaming, and identifying space where I can implement services and usage where it won't impact. Number one, kids. Kids are not here in the mornings, they're not here at lunch, and they're not here at night. So let's tell every member and membership rep how to use our new pool schedule.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm teaching them. I am taking the membership rep on a tour with this new pool schedule and emphasizing adult only time, emphasizing private time. Then we go into programs. Then we go into high revenue base. But Aqua Babies is a big one. High profit margin. And I'm part of a new Aqua Babies program, USA Aqua Babies from the overseas. We're bringing it here. And so we can bring you Aqua Babies program. We can bring you Learn to Swim programs. But a lot of places have them. So lastly, I'll also mention too, I am part of the All Things Aquatics event. I'm part of the Navigating Neva podcast. So those are other ways to build your brand, Craig. Take your part district locally and get on the news, not because bad things happen. That's my last bit. I know I'm under the gun here, but I want to encourage everybody listening. Find your part district, find your pool, and get the news in front of you when you're closed. Get the news in front of you at 8 a.m. when it's quiet, just so that the community can see what you see. You see a good, safe, positive environment. Put the news and the camera in front of that pool in those situations and get ahead of your community and tell them what's happening good and well and positive so that when bad things happen, it's not the only time they see the pool. But that's how you impact your community parks and rec, Craig, is you get in front of it, you get your local stories, you get your local newspaper, and you put a visual in front of your residents of a quiet, calm pool. Not I'm here to report something bad. But that's a big step we could all take, and everybody loves a good news story. Everybody loves something happy. And that's a big step that we can all take to get the awareness in a happy, fun, playful environment for aquatics.
Fantastic, man. All right. So if you like this content and you like learning more about aquatics, pool safety, leadership, team build, I mean, you name it. Wesley has a show every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, all things aquatics, with the Aquatics Life show. And so thank you so much and he's one of our super talented hosts that's co-creating DPRS Media Network. And so really love having him on the team. And it's such a big topic for parks and recreation. And so I'm really glad that Wesley's kind of joined the team to create specific content all around aquatics. And thank you for taking the last minute request to come on the show. Really appreciate it.
I hope that the people that didn't know anything about aquatics heard this today and go, oh, I took some things away. Media, publicity, safety. There is support out there. There's tons of resources in your community. Ping me and I'll help you find them. There's a lot of good stuff. And like you said, a lot of it's preventable. The bad things are preventable. So here to help and excited to carry this forward.
Fantastic. All right, guys, listeners, you can find us on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, Spotify, if you want to listen to it. Our whole content library, all of West shows, all of my shows, they're being uploaded to YouTube so that if you want to go back and re-listen to some of them, because some of these are very timeless, so that you can use them as continuing education. I would say every episode that Wesley has created is going to drive value for decades or longer, because it really is timeless content. So I really appreciate you joining the team, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Yep. See you Friday. We'll be there Friday live.
That's it. We'll be there. That's a wrap.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. all from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.